Hello fellow Earthlings, it's Libs, and today I'm going to be sharing my favourite tiny books. So when I say tiny books, I'm going to stick to books that are under 200 pages. These are the kind of books that you can very easily read in one sitting, that I very much have enjoyed. Would recommend if you were trying to bump up the number of books you read in a year. Reading tiny books can be extremely helpful. I was going to do under 150 pages, but I realised I don't have 10 books that I really love that are that tiny, so I had to bump the word count up a little bit, page count up a little bit. But let's crack on into it. Okay, so the first book I want to talk to you about is This Can't Be Happening by George something. I'm not sure how you pronounce his surname. This is the fourth book in the Penguin Green Ideas collection. If you read a lot of environmental news from the UK, you've probably read some of his work. I really enjoyed this book in the collection. I haven't read the whole collection, but at this point it is my favourite. It is 96 pages. It is tiny. The book is made up of short pieces that he has written, including one that he did. I don't think it was a TED talk, but it was something for TED that he did the speech for. And the book is mostly about sort of how we need to adjust how we think about environmentalism and making it work with the economy and things like that. It's great. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. Book number 2 is another little penguin. This is a tiny little penguin modern, and it is Africa's Tarnished Name by Chinua Achebe. It's number 28 in the little tiny penguin moderns, and this one is 64 pages. I read this ages ago, but it has stuck with me. I love it. I'm still really want to read some more Chinua Achebe. I just never see his books at my bookstore, so I'll have to do an online order at some point, but I just haven't got around to it yet. This book is about what it says it's about. Again, I think it's broken into little sections of different pieces of writing, talking a bit about his time traveling through different countries in Africa and how he has been treated in some of these different areas. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a phenomenal short read. It is my favourite of the Penguin Little Moderns that I have read, and it's fantastic. It's only 64 pages. I flew through it. I'm realising all of, at least the start of this video, are all non-fictions, and I have another non-fiction to talk about. This is Feminism is for Everyone by Bell Hooks. So Everybody by Bell Hooks. This is 123 pages. I'm getting all my page lengths from the story graph, so hopefully these are all correct. I read the ebook of this. I think this is an excellent book if you want an introduction to learning about the history of feminism. It is a lot broader than some books. It was published in 2000, I believe, so it's not the most broad, but it's still broader than a lot of contemporary books. So I think just from a historical standpoint, it's really interesting to see what she was writing about and what her perspective of things were at the time, particularly talking about what people were thinking in sort of the 70s and 80s. It's just a really fascinating book that considers race a lot, and it was phenomenal. There are more up-to-date books out there, but I think if you want a bit of that historical context, this is an excellent book. Okay, we are now moving on to fiction, and this is a short story collection. The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deshar Philyor. This is 179 pages. It is a collection of short stories about different women, sort of, some of it's exploring their relationship to religion, but also their relationships to their families and how religion has torn families apart or perhaps brought some closer together, different secrets they all keep. It is a very interesting short story collection, and I did very much enjoy it. Then I have Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Ayu. I'm not entirely sure. This book has been everywhere recently. It's only 104 pages. It's a story of a mother and daughter who take a trip together to Japan. The daughter has kind of organised everything, and they have a very somewhat strained relationship where they don't really know how to communicate with each other, and so the daughter is taking care of the mother most of the time, even though the mother doesn't necessarily need that. It's a very, very interesting book. It's very sort of, I guess, a quiet and subtle book, but if you enjoy reading about family dynamics, you'll probably really enjoy this one. And then a poetry collection I have to recommend is Redlow Fog Transcript by Melissa E. Jordan. This is only 81 pages. This is a poetry collection that is told like a documentary script. So each character or person who's being interviewed there, it's told through poetry, and each character has a different poetry style. And it's telling the story of these artists and I guess the problems happening in the lives of these artists and the people around them who are seeing the relationship deteriorate and the problems arising. And some of the poems in here are just stunning. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such an interesting way to tell this story, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about it, and I would highly recommend it. And a book I have talked about a lot on this channel is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, translated by Stephen Schneider. This is 180 pages. This is a Japanese novel that is about this unnamed housekeeper who is taking care of this older gentleman. He was a maths professor, and he has memory damage. He can't remember anything longer than about 80 minutes. And it's about her and her son's relationship with this man, and how maths ends up being the language that they all can speak and that they can kind of communicate best with. It sounds weird and it's hard to explain, but this book made me care about math. It made me just love the characters. It's such a special book, and I would recommend it to anyone. Another non-fiction I have here is The History of Witchcraft by Lois Martin. This is 143 pages. It is a very brief introductory book to European witchcraft and its history. It's introductory. It does not have everything. I've seen people complain this doesn't go in enough depth, but it is meant to be just a very simple introductory book that you can pick up without having to spend too much money to see if it's a topic you would be interested in. So do not expect great things from this, but it is an excellent introductory to European historical witchcraft. Another poetry collection I have is Howl and Other Poems by Allen Ginsberg. The edition I have is absolutely tiny. It is 52 pages, so it has Howl and just a few of his other poems. And I think if you want an introductory collection to Allen Ginsberg to see if it's worth spending more money on a bigger collection, this is a great one to start with. I really enjoyed it. I mean, what is there to say about this collection? And then the final book I want to talk about is, unsurprisingly, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. My edition is 171 pages, and it's probably my favorite modern-ish classic that I have read. I am spending this year reading a lot more classics, so that might change, but I absolutely adored this book. I think the first time I wanted to read it, I was in high school and I couldn't get past the second chapter. This time I devoured it. I adored it. I loved it. I think it's great for anyone trying to get into classics. It's just a phenomenal, phenomenal book. You don't need me to tell you what The Great Gatsby is about. If you're a person on the planet, you probably know, but it is fantastic. Okay, so that is it for this video. Let me know what your favourite tiny books are down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.